Let me just double check one setting.
Hey, how you doing? And welcome to another episode of Technology Tuesday. We are starting a tad bit late. We're having some technical difficulties. Jerry, are you able to hear me? Okay, so he's still not able to hear me yet. He's working on it.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear
I'm
you loud and clear.
It could be on my side. Let me just double check one thing.
And it looks like on my side, it should be picking it up. And I am seeing it,
Let
but
me
it's
just
like
double
crazy low.
check.
Mm.
Again.
I said it's crazy. It looks low on my side. Well, there it goes. That looks better. Can
All
you hear
right,
me now?
I see. I got you now.
All right, cool. So, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Technology Tuesday. I'm your host Greg Russell here with my host Jerry Franklin Poe, and today we got an exciting episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about how to share your login credentials with your team, your VAs, and people so that you can successfully log into these accounts without getting banned or even worse. Okay, so that's what we got tuned up for you today. And so if you are catching us on the replay, put hashtag replay, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you are with us live, hashtag live, and let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to hear from you. With that, we're going to go ahead and dive straight into today's show.
All right, all right. It's Technology Tuesday. So Greg, this conversation we're having today is practical knowledge and practical application because it was something that I brought up to you based on my own experience and the situation I was having challenges with some of the groups that I participate in terms of like, you have all these individuals that want to contribute to the social media, and how do we give multiple parties access? So it's not always the one person who's dependent upon to be posting. If you can have somebody else posting because maybe you weren't there at an event and somebody else has to post about it, and to keep the marketing chain and the information current and frequent to the folks.
Yeah, this challenge is not only for, um, getting into accounts. The time that I started to really focus on solving this challenge was clients were trying to give their VAs access to their ad accounts. And what would happen is, to do that, you typically have to give someone access to, Facebook, and they try to log in. And Facebook could determine that it wasn't them logging in. And so they would start to suspend and ban their ad accounts because Facebook was trying to prevent, fraud, because they don't want someone else logging into your account and spending your ad budget, and then you come back and saying, hey, it wasn't me. So they're trying to do their part, but at the same time it was very frustrating because we have these social accounts and we need to be, you know omnipresent and posting everywhere, and it's just easier for most of entrepreneurs to work with a team and not have to do everything yourself. So how do you give access to these accounts that you need work done, to other people who are willing to do the work without compromising your security and your access? And so I think the challenge is bigger than what people realize, Jerry. I think that the challenge is something we're going to look into about what's really happening behind the scenes. How is it that when a client has, a VPN or something like that, or they're, hiding, quote unquote, the VA's IP address, how do they still know it's not them if they can't tell the IP address? There's so much more going on behind the scenes. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. What's actually going on? And so for before we dive in, is there anything else that you was on your mind, was on your heart, that you wanted to dive into?
No, I think we got it, man. That's the main thing is like, how do we make sure that we're not getting blocked, but we're still giving people access to make the posts?
All right, cool. So there is a term that you guys can Google and look at, and I think it's going to open up a can of worms, which I'm always excited to just share the really good stuff and be like, this is what's up. So there is a term called browser fingerprinting, and I should pull this up. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. And this term is actually what's going on. I will hit it one more time to get it nice and big on the screen. Okay. So, browser fingerprinting is a technique used by websites to collect identifying information about a user's browser. Okay. So, this is Chrome, this is Safari, this is Edge. This is Firefox. This is all the top browsers, right? If you have a browser, the thing that gets you on the internet when you put in www.somewebsite.com, you are using a browser. Okay. And these browsers have built into it things called where they track a whole lot of your data. This process compiles data points like browser type, your operating system, the plugins you have, your screen resolution, your time zone to track users across different websites without relying on cookies. Okay. And so you can go deep, deep into this, Jerry, but at the end of the day, what's going on is they're using this browser fingerprinting type to create a fingerprint of you. So they know when you log in, outside of cookies and outside of IP addresses, they know when it's you. And so when you share your login information with someone else in a different place or just someone else, and they log in, they have a different fingerprint. And so they can be like, hey, that's not you. And so that's what has been happening for those, people who are trying to have people help them with their ad accounts and get their teams to log in. Their teams would have a different fingerprint and it would fire off the security settings, and people would have a hard enough time trying to get their teams to be able to log in to their accounts. So, highly recommend you guys take a look at that Google browser fingerprinting. And I will share one more that kind of goes deep. I will share this here. This is a Wired article from wired.com. Um, and it is about browser fingerprinting. And it is talking about what is browser fingerprinting. So here's what your browser is telling everyone about you. Your browser sends a lot of information with each website you visit that can be tracked, that can be used to track you across the internet. And so they go into details here, telling you all about how the browsers are tracking you across the internet and what's happening behind the scenes. So this is a really good informative article on wired.com, and it's basically called "What is Browser Fingerprinting?" You can Google it. It's on wired.com, and you can check it out and get all the juicy details. So Jerry, that reminds me about something else. Like when this, browser tracking stuff, the way they are tracking things with AI now gives these marketing companies way more data than you ever really thought. And so it's a good idea for you to know what's going on so that you are not unaware of the things that's going on behind the scenes when we use this technology that is here and we're browsing this internet and being tracked everywhere we go. So, you need to be aware of. It's nothing to be afraid of or majorly concerned. It's just what happens. But I think when you are aware of what's happening, you can make better decisions moving forward about how to handle your business. So with that, that probably leaves you with so how do we how do we share the information, right? All right, cool. Well, there's a couple ways. I'm going to share something that I found, and I don't recommend it, but I want you to be aware of it because if you find it, you may be like, hey, this could be an answer to a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on there. There's something called Loggy, and it is an alternative browser, and they do a good job of selling you on, use our browser and it will bypass the fingerprinting. It's designed so that you can allow your team to log into, your social accounts without worrying about getting tracked. So I want you to be aware of it. I don't think it works as well as advertised, and so I want you to be aware. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying I don't believe it works as well as advertised. It's just my personal opinion. It's what I think, but it is out there, and you can go buy it for a one-time cost. It is a alternative browser. One of the things that I have and that I recommend is having, you know, extensions on your browser to give your browser more powers. And so when you use an alternative browser, you cannot add those extensions. So for me personally, the things that I'm doing and how I'm using my browser and my extensions, this wouldn't work for me because my browser, with the extensions that we've shared on the show and some other things, it just gives us a lot more power to do things. And so when you use an alternative browser, you miss out on those things. Also, when you really dig into the forums and stuff, people have said that it doesn't work. Some people, right? So there is, you know, and that's with anything, any product that's worth its weight will have good and bad reviews. But my point is this: with all the things that a browser can block, there's probably things that it's not going to block, especially now with AI and all the ways things are updated. So I just don't think it's going to be able to give you that type of protection. So anyway, just wanted you to be out there. This is called Logi, and it is an alternative browser for advertising. Another way, Jerry, that we've talked about before is using a password manager like LastPass. Okay, so LastPass has sharing on both their personal and their business plans. And this is one way you can share login information um, that can get you inside of accounts. You're still using browser, so it can still do the browser fingerprinting. So, my experience, this is okay. It's not the best way to do it, it's just an okay way to do it. And I've used it times when both sharing and receiving, where I'm sharing it with LastPass, but for whatever reason it doesn't work, and you still have to ask the person for the password anyway. So there's, 25% of the time it doesn't work. So from my experience, this is, okay, but it's not the best way. So before I dive into the absolute best way to do this and what you should actually be doing, just want to make sure you didn't have any questions or comments or any feedback
No,
before
I'm
we
with you.
dive
Go
into
ahead.
the
Keep
last
going.
one. All right, cool. So, so my thought process was, if it's going to do browser fingerprinting, how can you get a computer that won't change the browser? Okay, and so the way that you can do it is to purchase a online computer that you log into and use that computer. This way, you can log into that virtual computer. It will have one IP, it will have, or even different IPs, but it will basically get one fingerprint. And you can sign into your accounts and then give your team access to that virtual computer where your accounts are already signed into. And so I'm going to share, there's quite a few different ones out there, but I'm going to share one that I think you guys might appreciate. This is the one that I recommend, and it's called V2 Cloud. Okay. And so V2 Cloud allows you to purchase a virtual machine with a Windows operating system. And you can then sign into your accounts on this machine. When you register the machine, it'll ask you which location you want to get this virtual machine, and they have them in several different countries. So you just get the one closest to your location, and then you sign into your virtual machine and you open up a browser, and you can install different browsers if you want Firefox or a different browser or Edge, but it comes with Chrome. Um, and you install Chrome. I mean, you log into your accounts from there, right? So you log into your Facebook account or your ad manager account or whatever, and then you don't sign out. And then you give your team access to this virtual computer, and they can log in and then go to work. And then you only have to, and you can control their access. Each person can have their own access to the machine. And you can decide if you want to have concurrent people having access to the machine or individual. So Jerry, I could give you a login to the machine, and then you could go and do the stuff. I could also give someone else a login, and they would have their own instance of that Windows, and they could log into there. So if you did that, you would have to then just make sure for each instance you go in there and log into your accounts you want them to have access to. And you instruct them, hey, when you're done, don't close the browser window or don't log out of XYZ if your team is still going to be able to consistently use it. So the best solution, Jerry, is to get a virtual machine and then log into the accounts from that machine, and then you guys share or create user plans for access to that virtual machine. And that is how you get around the browser fingerprinting, and that is how you don't have any issues with people logging into your accounts for a group setting. Boom. That's how you do it, bro.
Now that that so I get that would be universal if you're like you're talking about sharing your login credentials. But isn't there but you could like you can also give people access within the platforms, right? Like if they're a Facebook user and they're trying to and you have a page, right? You can give them access to a page.
So you're talking about specifically on Facebook?
I'm just like, well, I think you can do it on LinkedIn as well, but like so you're talking about what your the method that you just used is in a really more advanced method if you're sharing your actual login credentials with somebody, right?
Yes, because on with a Facebook page, yes, you can have different admin on the page, but your profile you cannot. So if you had someone who needed to do work on your profile,
Right,
you
right,
would need to,
right. Yeah, I
do it
get
this
that.
way. Yes, and
Right.
LinkedIn
So
as
like
well. I
so
believe you can give someone access to a LinkedIn page, but same thing there with your LinkedIn profile.
yes, I just wanted to clarify for people so they're understanding the difference between the two. Because I could probably hear somebody saying like, well, can I just give why do I gotta go through all that? Can I just give somebody access to my page? So the difference here for those who may not be completely clear with what Greg is demonstrating is the difference is like there are certain rules for Facebook groups, there are certain rules for Facebook pages, and there's certain um different rules or like challenges if someone's just posting to your personal your page. And depending on where you are, and when I just about and we're not just talking about Facebook, like Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, fan
YouTube.
base, whatever it might be. So it's like if you have an account that's not um what they would call more like business centered, right? So you like when you have a page that's geared towards an organization or business and they have it set up to have multiple contributors. But if you just have somebody posting to your account, this is a way to have someone um be able to log into the same account and have multiple users controlling that account. And that the differentiation.
Yes, sir. That is correct. Um, that is absolutely correct. And I can give you share. I can share one more time what it looks like once you log in. Um, 1 second to minimize it. Okay. So boom, here we are inside of a V2 Cloud workspace, right? And then here is Chrome, and they have their Microsoft here. We also have Chrome open, so we can click on it and go here. And so now here, this client is logged into LinkedIn. And this is not a LinkedIn page, this is their profile. And then we can do work on here for this client on their behalf. And when we're done, right, we don't log out or anything. We just kind of just close this tab on the computer, just like this. And then now that tab is gone, but the computer is still open and running with that account so that now someone else can go log in and then they can now get access to that account to work on it too. So if you have the need to have other people work on your accounts where you're not supposed to be sharing your accounts. If they log in on their computer, they have their own fingerprint. Where now this computer, this browser has one fingerprint, and multiple people can go in there and do work, and it not send off any red flags to the social media accounts that multiple people are doing it. Because at the end of the day, we really just want some help and some assistance and not have to do everything on our own. And so we're willing to hire people who have special skills, are willing to do the stuff. And more than 9 times out of 10, especially with Facebook and LinkedIn, you get way more juice out of your profile than those pages that you can create for the most part. So, and unless you're running ads, then your profile will give you the most bang for your buck. And so we want to be able to utilize those as best we can. And trying to share access to our profiles with all the security measures is a challenge. We're here if you just log in once and you deal with the security and the two-factor authentication, you can do it right there. The thing is open, and now you can give your team, only your team has access to that. And you can actually control the users. So when someone leaves your team or whatever, you can remove their access, and now you have control over who can get access to the virtual machine that has your social profiles open for them to work on it. So again, this is just one very clever way for you to do it, an inexpensive way as well.
Exactly. Very good.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, any other questions, sir?
Nah, man, I think we're good.
Good. All right. Well, listen, I would like to thank you guys for tuning in this week to a very special episode of Technology Tuesday. And I have been working with some really cool individuals. We have some interviews and special guests coming up. So you want to make sure you tune in every week for Technology Tuesday to get the tools and resources and tips that you might not hear about or know about that can really help us entrepreneurs. So with that, Jerry, any last words before we sign off?
Nah, man, I think we do our best to bring that practical knowledge so they can get those practical solutions for their business. That's all
Yes,
I would have
sir.
to say.
Yes, sir. So until next week, have a great weekend. Take care.